We are assembled here at Sunnyside Restaurant in the Meadow Room with our star performer, Charlie Mallios.
Come on, start, Bobby.
Whose correct name is Constantinos and Mallios. And the cinematographer is Dr. Webb Hirschberger. I am Robert M. Frey, who will attempt to elicit
Come on,
some
sit down, Bob.
interesting information
Doc.
from Charlie Mallios. Where were you born, Charlie?
Neochorion Nafpacteas,
And where is that?
in Greece,
Is that in the mountains of
and
Greece?
way up in the mountains.
And is your birthday April 23, 1917?
Yes, sir.
So you're now in your 80th year. You'll be 80 years old in April of 1997.
And I don't feel any older.
Good for you. What were conditions like in your native village there in Greece at the time you were born and in the early years afterward?
Bobby, you can't compare those years I born and those years today. Those years I born, it was very, very, very poor. You don't know how that people lives those years and how that people living in here this time. Now, that time I born, we have a house like a barn. We don't have no floor, no cement floor, no wood floors, no nothing. We have dirt on that place. And my mother, she used to get weeds and put it down and cover up with a blanket, and that's the place we used to sleep.
She put the weeds on the floor?
On the floor, yes. And later on, I think so that 1928, my father, he come to the United States in 1921, and then he worked so hard and he sent us some money. In 1928, we make beautiful, beautiful, strong house, beautiful home.
You say your father left Greece in 1921 and came to the United States.
1921 and come to the United States.
And did he send money then periodically from the United States?
Yes, and that's the only time he stopped sending us money. It was the Depression time, Bob.
In the 1930s?
1928, 29, well, before, but around 29, 30, 31, something like that. And we was big enough, I was big enough boy, you know, to write letters.
Oh.
And it's the only letters I used to write. Send us some money. And the answer we got back, he says, people dying in New York, on the streets, no have no money. And blah, 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 back and forth, that's the only we have.
When you were growing up there in the village in the 1920s, what were the relations like between the people in the village and the country of Greece with the other neighboring countries then?
Bobby, my younger days, I remember I never have enough to eat, one thing. I never remember having any, what do you call that, candy or this or soft drinks or anything. We never have anything like that. Now, my mother, I don't think so, excuse me, but we never wear any pants because we never have any clothes to make any pants. And the only clothes I have, my daughter, old clothes from my mother, and she tore them up and tried to make it dresses. And in fact, in my home, I have pictures with my mother and two brothers with our dresses. And in fact, there's one on the patio.
Did you have any contact with any of the neighboring countries? Like Russia or
well,
Serbia or
wait
Yugoslavia?
A minute. Wait a minute. Before 1917, before Bolsheviks get Russia over, all those tours, just like United States it is now, very rich country, it was Russia. And my father, he used to go to Russia before he came to the United States. And he used to make money. And then he went to work about 3-4 months, and he gets so much money, and he comes home, he stays 3-4 months, and he go back and forth. It's all those Greeks that our village did, and from quite different villages. In 1917, the Bolsheviks, they take the country over and didn't leave nobody in, nobody out, and that's the time that, from 1917, that Greek people start coming into the United States.
Did you have any kind of contact with the country of Turkey?
No. But I was boy once, and with the school, we almost ready to go, and we get in on a boat to go, but I don't know, somehow, don't remember what happened. He didn't let us go. But the Turkey with the Greeks always have been enemies. I don't think she's going to be any friends forever and ever. And in fact, my father's brother, he was captain in the Greek army, and he get killed 1921 between Turkish and Greek war.
So your friendly country was Russia prior to the Russian Revolution.
Oh yes, oh yes, oh yes.
What sort of education did you get while you were living in Greece?
Well, I went to small school, that 4 years in a school in a village, and then I left and I went live on Patras with my aunt. My aunt, she was that my father's brother's wife, and her husband had get killed, and he take me and my brother, and I went to school, that day school 1 year, and then I was, I don't know, 13, 12, I think so I was 12 years old, and then I went to night school, and I was working during the day.
How old were you when you first went to Patras after the 4 years of school in the village?
I think it was in 1922, 1923.
You'd have only been
Oh,
around 5 years
wait a
of
minute,
age?
no, more than that, Bob. I was 5, I guess it was 28,
Around 1928.
19,
So you'd have been around 9 or 10 years of
Yes,
age then.
yes, yes. Yeah.
When you started night school in Patras, where were you working during the day?
In Carlisle. Those clothing store, you have men's shoes, women's shoes, kids' shoes, men's suits, neckties, and a lot of women clothing.
That's pretty
no
much
dresses. Yeah.
We called it a department store
Yeah,
here in the United States.
but it was very small places because no big thing. And he has everything all around.
What was the occasion that you determined to come to the United States?
Well, my father, he left 1921, I tell you, and then he come to United States. The first time he ever come back to United States, it was 1935. And you want me to tell you how he get out of that New York, what my father used to do?
Sure.
All right, my father used to have push car in New York City, and it was like weak type. It was short man, weak type, and he used to have push car, and the spot he used to have, it was very good spot next to some high school in New York City, and the garage was closed, and he used to push push car into the school, and dinner time comes, couple of kids, he give them free hot dogs, and he help him to serve the other kids. And it was very good spot. And he have that spot, and he making good money those years. And he sent us money a lot of times in Greece. Now, some kind law, no, that Italian mafia, he went there and he tried to take his spot. And he asked him, how much you want for your spot? No, he says, I don't want to sell it. Oh, he says, you too old, you sick, this or that. No, my spot's fine, you don't want to sell it. Now, between time, I don't know that there was some kind law, health department. You have to have a health certificate. And my father was, just like I tell you, no sick type, but weak type, and he was coughing a lot, this or that. But bronchitis or something like that, but there isn't any. And she went to get the certificate doctor. Now, between time, the Italian mafia, he tell the doctor, you have TB.
Oh.
And he tell my father, he says, I'm sorry, you can't work anymore around the food because you have TB.
What sort of food was he selling
Hot
from this
dogs,
push cart?
hot dogs, sauerkraut, soft drinks and things like that. Lemonade those years and orange jail and I don't know. Well, anywhere, he was depressed. And he don't know what he's going to do. Well, the Italians, he got his spot because, I don't know if pay him or he didn't pay him, I don't know. And he called my uncle. My uncle, he was in here in Carlisle. That
And what was his name?
John Karayanis.
And was he your mother's brother?
My mother's brother. And he called him up and he tell him what's the story. And he says, you go back to Greece. He says, my father, he says, I don't want to go back to Greece because I have TB and I don't want my kids and my wife get TB and I want to stay right here. Maybe I'm going to go suicide. And well, he cooled him off. And my uncle, he went to New York and he picked him up and bring him back to Carlisle. He sent him the doctors in here and he tell him he doesn't have nothing. And he started washing dishes.
For your uncle?
For my uncle. And then 1935, he come to Greece. I was working on a Patras. He went to, I see him 2-3 days. No, I think so 1 day he stayed on Patras. And he went to village, and I think so I see him all the time. He stayed about 7 or 8 months in Greece. And then he come back to the United States. That time he left to come back to Greece, he passed Patras to get in on a boat. He asked me, say, you want to come to the United States? I said, sure, I'd love to. And he put the application through, and I come to the United States in 1936.
And exactly when was it in 1936 that you came? Was it right before your birthday?
I have my birthday on a boat. In fact, we was in Libya. He left the boat to get in from Patras, and he went all around and he picked up a lot of people in Libya. And my birthday was in Libya. And I'll tell you a story about the Libya. I was in Libya, and my cousin, Catherine Kostopoulos, that means John Karayanis' daughter, and he had wedding that particular Sunday. And I went, and we was running with 3 young boys and 1 Greek American guy, some old man, but he was real nice man. And he speak English, he speak Italian, he speak a lot of languages. I said to him, I says, I want to send telegram to congratulate them for the wedding. He says, fine. We went there, and he asked me for $12. And I look in my pocket, I have only $12. I says, oh no, I'm going to be broke from here. And I didn't send it. Yeah,
So you only had $12 in your pocket?
12.
That's what they wanted for the cablegram?
Yes.
So you didn't send the cablegram?
Yeah, it was 23rd and 23rd and April. In April. We come to the United States, first day in May.
How long did it take you to make the trip from Greece to the United States?
13 days.
13 days.
And we have a wonderful time.
So you arrived in the United States then
Broke.
after your 19th birthday, broke.
Oh no, I have a few more dollars. Because I
Something
think
left out of that $12?
no, I didn't. Yeah, I have good time, but I still have a couple of dollars left.
I think you told me one time that you haven't had any beer to drink since that trip on the boat. Is that right?
On the boat we have wonderful time, Bob. We drinking beer, we have good time, and in fact, you have movies on that boat. And before the movie's gonna start, Mussolini, that Italians, he invaded Ethiopia, and every time I'm in the
Is this on the newsreel?
Huh?
Is this on the news?
That news,
Reels part of the
yeah.
movies.
And he used to say, Mussolini. Well, one time we take it once, we take it twice. One time we boo him, and he throws out of that movies, and he never allows get in on movies anymore. And that's the truth. That's the truth.
When you arrived in the United States in May of 1936, did your father meet you there?
No, my father was working, and my uncle met me there.
Is your uncle John Karayanis?
Yeah, he come over with his car, and another man named Chris Furlas, and he take me out of there, and oh, I have a beer in Brooklyn, New York, and he make me sick. Hey, he says, you shook up, so it's nothing wrong with the beer. And we went to Coatesville, and we stay overnight in Coatesville. I think so I have another beer in Coatesville. And then he upset me again, because it's shook up. And then, I think so the next day we was in we went to Gettysburg, that Chris Fuller's a restaurant there, and we left him out, and I have another beer there, and I get sick again. And then I come to Carlisle, and my father, he meet me in Carlisle, and his big dinner, and I have a bottle of beer there. He upset me again. It was 1936, May 2nd. That's the last beer I ever have in the United States.
Do you remember passing through Harrisburg on your way to Gettysburg?
I don't know how to drive that particular time, but I remember one thing. It was a lot of dead animals and a lot of sloppy on the streets. And I look at it and I said to my uncle there, I says, you know, on the Patras, I says, that fire engines, he go to the sea and he pick up water and he wash the streets every day. And it's all nice and clean. It's awful. And he tried to tell me, you know what I mean, it was floods.
Just right after the big
He must have.
1936 flood that caused so much damage in Harrisburg.
He must have. But it's still on my mind that dirt I find that on the streets, you know, that the way we come in.
Did you visit anybody else whose names you can recall between New York and Gettysburg when you first arrived?
No, I don't remember if I was all shook up. I mean, I don't know. But I do one thing. Soon I come to the United States, he put me wash dishes 14, 15 hours a day. And I turned around many times. Bob, this is the truth. I was behind that door and I was crying myself.
This is at the famous Texas restaurant?
Famous Texas lunch.
Which was owned by your Uncle John
By my
Carlisle.
uncle, yes. And I was in, you welcome to the United States with all those, it was around 15, 16 waitresses there and 2, 3 short order cooks and so many different people. Only one, I'm never gonna forget that. He was washing dishes. His name Paul Steele, and he was color fella. And he used to cool me down, you know what I mean? And he said, Charlie says, you're gonna be all right, you're gonna be all right. Well, to what do you tell me? I can't understand anything. But he used to tell me, says, Charlie says, don't worry, couple months from now, you're gonna be the boss on those girls. Don't worry about it. But I never understand that. And in fact, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 months later, the first American dish I ever have on somebody's house, it was that black people's home.
And
And
that
he
was
had
a
nice
man by the
wife.
name of Paul Steele, you say?
Paul Steele. And later on, that Paul Steele, he went to the army, and then he retired from the army, and he was retired cook for a general.
Oh.
Yeah.
What were the hours that the famous Texas lunch was open for business?
24 hours.
24 hours a day?
27 days a week.
7 days a week?
Yes.
Were they even open on Christmas?
Yes, sir.
What were the conditions like in Carlisle at the time when you first got here in 1936? Could you tell whether things were prosperous or whether they were hard times?
Bob, I was so scared to get out of there, and only thing I have on my mind to send my father home. And me and my father, we sleeping upstairs, almost same bed. He sleep on a day, and I used to sleep. I sleep on a day. He used to sleep on a night. That's what it was. That all the time. And but 2 months later, July. I don't know what. May, June, July. In the middle of July, I sent him back home, and he tell me, says, I don't have no money. I'm not gonna. I don't want to go starving. I promise him. I says, you go to Greece, and if I'm leaving, you're gonna be well take care. And I keep my word, and I did keep my father, but during the war, he did suffer. During that war,
During World War II?
Yeah, the guerrillas, you know, he kicked him away from our villages, and he come to the city, and he was sleeping in the basement, this and that, and all that. But he died very happy. He went back home, and I sent him anything he wants. I sent him clothes after the war. I sent him anything they want, and he died very happy.
In those first months and years that you were in Carlisle working at the famous Texas lunch, did you find many poor people in Carlisle?
Well, not really, because I never been around with anybody. I don't know anybody. Only thing I know that the waitresses there working for so many years and everyone nowhere, and I never messed up with anybody because I was an outsider.
Did your restaurant ever give free meals to anybody?
That's the only thing I remember that, Bob. Suna come over every Wednesday. It was soup line. My father, my uncle used to go across the street to David Javas's food market, butcher shop, you call meat market.
Carlisle Meat Market.
Carlisle Meat Market, and he get some bones. And we went to farmers and we got a lot of vegetables. And we make great big pots vegetable soup.
Did you buy those bones, or did Dave
No, I think
Javits
so. David Javas
contributed them for this
for that soup.
free soup line?
Yeah, and the farmers he used to give
And the
that.
farmers
vegetable.
gave you vegetables
Yeah.
for the same reason.
And Charlie Ling, it was baker shop next to Texas Lunch.
That was a deluxe bakery that was located
Behind.
at the rear of the famous Texas
Yeah.
Lunch on East Lather
And they
Street.
give us some bread. And my uncle, he have me stand on the line, give one slice of bread to each customer. And a lot of people, he said, give me another, and I sneak him a couple of pieces. My uncle, he cuts me, and he give me a hag. He says, don't do that, because I don't have enough bread to give to everybody. And I think so we did that maybe every Wednesday. I think so 4 times a month. I think so he stopped it in June sometime. I don't remember exactly. But I remember I was on a line to give bread 3 or 4 times for sure.
So this was during the first few months
I come
that
to
you were
United
in
States.
Carlisle?
Yeah, yeah.
And had your Uncle John been providing this free
Yes.
soup line before you got here too?
He must have.
Did very many people take advantage of that opportunity?
Bob, it was line from the Texas Lunch to way out to that corner bank. I don't know, deposits
It's the
there.
Mellon Bank now, but it was the Carlisle Deposit Bank
Carlisle
and Trust
Deposit
Company
Bank,
in those
yes.
years.
And Mr. Minneke was the president there.
Right.
Yeah. Because he offered me, that time I buy this place, he offered me to go get some money. But I went there and he didn't give me any.
Well, that's another story, I guess. When you came to Carlisle, did you get to know most of the other people whose origins were in Greece? Or when did you get to know who they
I
are?
never went out this last few years, Bob. I didn't went out. And only thing I know, work 24 hours a day. And then 1940, I get married. And then that's the start, you know what I mean, have home life, a little more out.
When did you get married in 1940?
Christmas Day,
Christmas Day, December 25th, 1940.
1940.
How did it happen that you chose Christmas Day to be married?
That's the only day my uncle, he says, can have choice to close the restaurant. And in fact, you have sliding doors, swinging doors. And he called some carpenter to close up, and the carpenter put 2x4, no nails, 2x4, and change, hook those hooks, and it was closed, that restaurant.
So they just ran a 2x4 through the handles on the doors, attached a chain, and that's how you closed long enough for Charlie to get married.
Yeah, it's the only time he says that he can close the store for me to get married.
Now, did you have a long courtship with the lady you married, or was that sort of an arranged marriage?
Well, it was arranged, and well, I'm going to tell you a story. I shouldn't say that, but I will tell you that story.
Well, now, don't say anything that you don't want on film, because this is going to be seen by other people over the years.
I'm going to tell you, but you know, I'm not going to name no names.
All right.
Okay. Now, that I was about 19, 20 years old. You know, you start talking to those young ladies. I was a nice-looking boy, and a lot of times they want to go out, and there's things like that. My uncle says that, and he Frey says, oh, you better make him get married now, because I don't want him lose him, you know. Well, they tell me that we have so-so girl, we have so-so girl, I have so-so girl. I never met those girls. And the marriages make up marriages, Bob.
Were these all Greek girls
All
about
Greek,
whom your Uncle
all
John
Greek,
was speaking?
yeah. Well, he named one so-so place, I don't want to say the name, and I says, okay. I know the girl, you know what I mean, but I never talked to her or anything. Yeah, she was nice looking, fine, and my age, fine. I can marry her, what's the difference? And, well, my uncle, he went, talked to her father, and her father, the answer he got, he says, look, I'm not looking for dishwashers. I'm looking for lawyers or doctors. My daughter get married. And my uncle come back. I says, I didn't say nothing. I wait 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, almost a week, and I say, hey, uncle, says, what's going on? Oh, he says, you know what I'm thinking, I don't think she's good enough for you. Oh, I said, I'll bite that. And I said, okay. Now, his son-in-law, he working in the Texas lunch, and he bring his mother from New York. And he hear that story go on. And he says to me, Charlie says, I have beautiful girl for you. Don't say yes to nobody before you see that girl. In fact, that girl, she's gonna come to so-and-so's baptism a couple of weeks from now, but don't say anything to anybody. Oh, okay, nothing to lose. Well, I said, she come over with her dead, another sister, and I says, oh yeah, I take her, yeah. And that's how you.
That's how you met Dixie.
That's how I met Dixie.
I think you told me one time that romance that never happened because the father didn't think you were good enough for his daughter. Who did she end up marrying?
The dishwasher. You know, Bobby, she left. She left. Get married that dishwasher, his dishwasher. Yeah. And that poor soul, he died. And she still live in the so-so place. She never get married. And she have, I think so, 2 daughters and a boy. And she's a nice lady. I mean, she never knew what happened. I don't think she ever knew that. Because I never tell her anything. And I'll tell anybody, you know what I mean, what's the difference to me? Oh, I was
It's kind of an interesting story.
I was dishwasher also. You gotta start somehow.
That's right, that's right. You said after you were married in 1940 and then started having a family life that you came to know some of the other Greek families in Carlisle. Can you remember what their names are?
Oh, I
or at least their
remember
last names.
that one very nice man, he was Archie Terrace.
Archie Terrace.
Yeah. He used to have that clean on the high street.
Right.
And he was very good friend to my father. And he's the guy, he have all those arrangements for my wedding and Mallios Hotel. And he was very nice man.
You married at the Molly Pitcher Hotel.
I married in Mallios Hotel.
And then had the wedding reception there as well.
Everything, and we take the hotel over, I mean, rooms and everything, because it was Christmas time and the hotel was empty. Who is that? Bentley?
Leslie Bentley owned it at that time.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, very
And
nice.
Bill Miller from Harrisburg, they owned it jointly.
Sometimes.
But Les Bentley was the
Yeah,
manager.
but anyway, he take the hotel over. And I have, before that, I have a rent apartment across the street, 144 South Hanover Street, above the Ewan's funeral home. And after the wedding, Dixie and I, we went an apartment.
What other Greek families were there in Carlisle that you got to know at that time?
It was Julius's, it was Vavakis's, very good friend, Harry Vavakis. It was Julius's, Vavakis, it was Charlie Collis, something, I live in his house before I get married. And Charlie Collis, he have a Hamilton restaurant, Kokolis,
The Kokolis brothers that had the
pool room,
pool room.
Tranoris,
Mrs. Tranoris,
Julius's, Alexis's,
Alexis.
yeah. I don't know about anybody else.
How about Kitsetis?
Yeah, very, very nice family because it's, they have 2 daughters and we was fresh marriage and those was teenagers and they used to come to the apartment all the time, to stay with my wife all the time. Very nice people.
And do you remember what business he was in?
He was at the Market House.
Market House Cafe.
Yeah.
And
And later on that Mr. Cachetos, he want to retire, and he wants to sell me that, let me buy that, that market house. And always I said to him, I says, nice places, but all that, he says, my dream, I'm gonna go in better places, what I'm gonna, and anywhere I talk to him, and my cousin, he buy that, my uncle, Cachuñas.
Is that Tom Cacciunas?
Yeah, now you have the St. Charles Restaurant.
Right. Do you remember any other Greek families in Carlisle at that time?
Maybe I missed some.
How about Salidas? Had the varsity lunch?
Oh,
in
yeah.
the corner of the
Yeah.
market house?
Oh, yeah. And in fact, that he have a daughter, she used to work on the Texas lunch. And one time, she was a nice girl, I mean, but I know nothing, you know what I mean, no smartness or anything. And I take her home about 12 o'clock at night, and she live on a farm. And I used my uncle's car. And I lost on that, in the fields. And I was running around by myself now. I left her home, and I'm on my way home. And I did come home before 2-3 hours. And everybody blamed me. I have, you know what I mean, teasing me for that, but she was a wonderful woman.
You were driving your uncle's car at that time?
All the time, yeah.
What kind of car did he have at that time?
That particular time, he have, the first car he have 1937 Dodge. In 1941, he buy that 1940, I guess he come out that 1941, Fluid Drive or Donaflow or something like that.
Fluid Drive?
Chrysler, yeah.
And then you drove that one from time to time?
All the time. Because after he died, he left his daughter, and so, Gussie, you don't know how to drive. I have that car all the time, and I teach him to drive on that car.
When did your Uncle John die, do you remember?
41. 41, I'm pretty sure 41.
And during those years, you were still working at the
Texas Lunch, and I left
Texas Lunch?
I left 1948.
When did the Texas Lunch get a beer and liquor license to serve alcoholic beverages? Did they have it when you got there in 1936?
We used to have a beer.
Did they have a beer license in
Yeah, beer
1936?
license. And I think so 1938 or 1938 or 1939, one of those 2 years, you got liquor license.
How did the operation of the restaurant get along with the people at Carlisle Barracks? Did you have a good relationship or problems?
Well, problems those years, he was, we didn't have him right either. I mean, he was rough. He could start being a rough place. That, because he was sailors that time, and the army, he was enemies. Many times, he used to have start fighting. Navy and the army.
Was this during World War II or before World War II?
No, during the war.
During the war.
And he tear up all those coat hangers and Texas Lunch and fights. And one time that he have the Texas Lunch off limits, and later on he lost the liquor license. Man, the best thing ever done.
How'd you get along with the Carlisle police? Did you have any contacts with them, connection with the business?
The only thing I remember one time, but it was right. One time that a lot of soldiers come from Carlisle Barracks, and 4 guys, I wanted to serve them. And he asked me for 4 beers. And he was one young fella there. And I says, but he's too young. He says, okay, give me, says, 3 beers, and I hope next year, say, you're gonna be out of business. I said, what's the difference to be out of business or not? I start deliver that beer, and as soon as I deliver that beer, it give to the young fella. Somehow, I don't remember exactly, they get up and start fighting. And my uncle, he come out to separate, and he jump all over me, those guys. I sneak behind the bar, and I pick up one rubber hose I have, and I start hitting. Well, he wasn't right, but I was young, crazy, anyhow. I was hitting left and right, and I hit some soldiers on the head, this and that. Well, next thing that people arrest me, and well, anyway, he was hearing. I don't remember who was the chief at that particular time.
Chief of police?
Yeah. we have that hearing on, I don't know if it was on Goldstein's office, or no, it was on police station. Somewhere in police station. And he have me that two captains from the War College from the post that particular time, and the lawyer from the Army post. I have my lawyer Goldstein, and he tell us there and he give us good talk and this and that. And those soldiers says, any place I'm going to see Charlie, I'm going to kill him. And I wasn't afraid because I was a wild kid myself. And well, anyway, the captain, he take the soldiers on the side and he says, if I hear any problems or anything, you and him. And then the chief of police come to me. He says, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that. He says, shut up. Goldstein, he told me that. He said, shut up. He says, listen what he says. Okay. And, well, he gave us good talk, and he tried to tell me, he says, you young fella, this is going to be your home. You know, he cooled me down, you know what I mean? He tell me the nice things. He says, you got to respect the law, you got to do this, you got to do that. And that's the only thing I remember very, very clear, very clear.
Did you get to know some of the business neighbors to the restaurant there on North Hammer Street? Did they come in for meals?
No, the business, the best ones, oh, of course, Mr. Swagger, David Javas, Paul Datrick, Lou Israel. In fact, Lou Israel, he was one of the best people I ever met, Father. You know, after the war, you know, we can send stuff up back to Greece. I went over, I paid very few, and I'm so by that, but they give me a lot of that fake sweaters or suits you can sell, that second-hand stuff, and I fill it up great big trunk, and I send them to Greece. And I thanks to Lou Israel.
I think one time you told me you thought about quitting down at the famous Texas because you weren't satisfied you were being treated right. Can you tell me about that situation?
I don't know, it was he used to pay me $5 a week. And after 3-4 weeks, before my father come to United States, live to Greece and come, live United States, go back to Greece, he offered me to give me that check. He give it to my father. My father, he says, what, you're so ashamed to give that $5 a week to the boy? Give it to them. Well, anyway, he didn't take it. He didn't bring me that. And he turned around and he put, I don't know how much it was, Bob, but still I have that bank book. My uncle, he put that money in the bank. Still I have that book. Well, after the main thing was for me to send my father home. And after I sent my father home, one particular time, Bob, I went and I asked my uncle for extra money. He says, oh, no, this and that. Okay, I forgot it. A couple of days later, I went across the street to Lou Israel. And I says, I tried to tell, I can't understand, I mean, I can't speak English. I tried to tell him, suitcase. Well, I want a suitcase, I tell him, you know what I mean, valiza, you know what I mean?
Valise.
Yeah, Greek word. Well, next thing, somehow, somebody says, oh yeah, he got one great big box with handle on the top. And he said, about this? I says, yeah, but that's too big, but that's fine. And I take it, I start walking across the street, you know. My uncle says that, says, hey, what's that? What are you going to do with that? I said, I'm going to put my clothes in. And if he says, what clothes do you have? But he didn't. He said, what are you going to do? I says, I'm going to Coatesville. I says, for what? I says, he's going to give me, I don't know, I tell him $14, $12, I don't remember now. And he says, what? Who says that? And how are you going to go there? I says, the bus station is there and I'm going to go. If you tell me go, I don't know where's the bus station. I don't know anything. And anywhere. He says, go throw that thing away. He says, I'm going to give you that. Okay. I did it 2-3 times like that, Bob.
So that's how you got your raises.
Right. That's the only way.
Now, after you were married, you and Dixie had 3 children, is that right?
Yes.
And their names are Athanasia, Nicholas, and Vasiliki, is that right?
Perfect. You pronounce that very clear.
Thank you. I think you told me when one of those children was born, it was late at night on a winter night. Was that the first child?
That first child.
Can you tell us again what happened?
It's good story on that, Bob. It's a very good story. Now, my wife, she expected that, and it was on 7th of January. It's real cold, and it was, must be below zero, and it just rained or little sleet before that. And around 3 o'clock in the morning, or 2:30, 3 o'clock, Mrs. Colas, she used to live 2 houses below that.
Is Charlie Colas' wife?
Yes. She calls me up and he says, Charlie says, you better come up. He says, your wife, she has to go to the hospital. Okay. Now, I did tell you that always I used Karayani's car because Karayani died, he's dead. And he got his son-in-law got the car. And this particular day, it was so cold, all those street cars, he paid the garage people that, what do you call Pennsylvania garage?
Pennsylvania House Garage.
Yeah.
Bill Brem operated.
Bill Brem, yeah. And he have a lot of cars in from the street. You pay him, I guess, 25 cents overnight. And I went there tonight, man, and I says, I want my car out. He says, you gotta be kidding. I says, look, he says, no jokes. You think I was joking, but I'm not joking. He says, my wife's gonna have a baby. I have to go pick her up, take her in. He says, in that case, it helped me to take some cars out. The first car I get in, it was Oldsmobile. The first Oldsmobile would come out without clutch or something like that. And I come out, and I decided, instead of taking more cars out, I decided to go home.
So you took off in the Oldsmobile with the hydromatic drive, is that
Yes,
right?
sir. And I went home. In my street, it was like this. And I don't know that car parking or and I turned around and I tried to put him on a gear. That car sliding. And I turned around and I turned the wheels against the curb. Motors around. I went upstairs, picked my wife up and take her to the hospital. And I can't make it the hill, Bob.
The hill at the hospital?
Yeah. And that nurses come out and they take my wife and they take her in and then I bring the car back. And nobody ever know what it.
Nobody ever found out that you borrowed that automobile, huh?
And that's the truth. I have to tell you that story, what happened with Nicky's bone.
What story is that?
It was fishing season. And those years, everybody's gone 15th and April fishing.
First day of trout season,
First season,
right?
dry season. Well, I was working on Texas lunch. And somehow, my wife, she expected any time. And somehow that I have a appendicitis attack at the Texas lunch. Around 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. And I called Gus. I don't know if he come in or somebody take me and take me to the hospital. They called Dr. Stewart. Dr. Stewart come in. He says, you're going to have operation. I says, I don't want to, you know, all that anywhere. He take me and have operation. I don't know what time it was that.
So you had an appendicitis operation?
Appendicitis operation. Now, my wife, she used to come out with the child after lunch and we'd go home together because I get off around 2 o'clock. She come out after lunch. Where's Charlie? Gus says, well, you don't know where's Charlie. Nobody ever tell her anything. She says, no. You sure? No. No forget, no afraid. He says, he's in a hospital. But he's all right, he's all right. Well, anyway, Dixie come out, and they tried to wake me up. You know what I meant, because still I was on it, and shook me, then the next thing I wake up, and shook me up, I threw up all over her.
Oh, my.
And instead of go home, she stay in the hospital having a baby.
So you were both in the hospital at the same time?
Yeah, and now, a few minutes later or the next day, I don't remember when, they bring the baby. You know, we was on work, it was 6, 7, 8 guys in that room. And he have the baby outside of the hospital. And he said, Charlie, that nurse said, Charlie, this is your baby. And I was feeling my stomach, it was so sore. I said, get out, I have a baby. No, well, anyway, that story like that, it was on the paper next day.
Oh.
Yes.
When did you acquire this Sunnyside restaurant?
1948.
Is that June 12, 1948?
48. I opened it up that particular day.
And what was your first day of business? Was that June 13th?
First day, yeah, it was Dorian. We working there, and I have that June 13. I get in, and we open it up. And guess what it was myself? $13.
$13 was the first day's gross sales
And
on the 13th of June,
13th of June,
1948.
48.
And I guess the rest is history, as they say. The restaurant has grown and grown and grown. Is that right?
Yes, but you know how that it started to grow real good?
How's that?
Huh?
How's that?
Well, I was 1 month in here, $20, $25, $35, and it was a lot of that soldiers walking across the street and going uptown. It was some kind of school that particular time, ASA school or something like that. I don't know what you call those. Anywhere, that start people walking up. And I said, what's wrong with me? I have a lot of lights on, I have a lot of signs, restaurant, and nobody comes over. And I have my apron on, and I went out, and I says, and cars going up and down, zoom, zoom. Some soldier, he started going up, and I says, hey, Joe, blah, 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 blah. What? Zoom, zoom, that car. Blah, 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 blah. He said, wait, I'll be over. Well, it's what I want him to do. He come over. He says, what? I says, hey, oh, I'm sorry. I says, I got the wrong one. I think so. I know it's Joe. I tell him name. And I says, come on in, I'll buy you beer. He said, what do? You sell beer in here? Yeah. You come in inside. I'll give him a bottle of beer. And he likes to play the pinball machine. And we used to have nickels paint with nail polish. And I'll give him a handful to play that. And I said to him, I said, you bring me new customer every day. I says, I'll give you beer free, and I'll give you handful. He says, I don't want nothing free. I don't want that. I'll bring you a lot of business. And my business is going about 100 and more and more and more.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Yeah. That's the good old days. I hope never to come back.
And then later on, you bought the Deer Lodge. Is that right, out in Mount Holly Springs?
Yes, in 1962 or 63, I think, so I buy that Deer Lodge. And buy that from Joe Bresley. Yeah.
Chips Resnick.
Chips, yeah.
Victor Resnick.
Resnick, that's it.
Resnick, R-E-S-N-I-C.
Yeah, I can't pronounce his name. Yeah, good man, very good man. Yeah.
When did you become a citizen of the United States?
1941.
Was there anything particularly interesting about that, or local people who may have helped you in some way in regard to your citizenship application?
You must have been in the United States those years, I don't know, 4 or 5 years to become citizen. And you must have 2 witnesses to know you from that time you come in to that now. And you gotta be on so seated, same so much length. And I have Charlie Ling and Mr. Fickle, the insurance man.
J. Rodney Fickle.
Jane, that's him. That two for my witnesses. And then, I guess they come over and he says how good I am, this and that and all that. And he asked me questions and I got my citizen papers there, but I don't remember any. I'm getting a little old too, Bob. I can't remember all those things.
Well, you're not even 80 yet.
Oh, sure.
Did you have much desire to go back to Greece, except in those early months when you were homesick?
Oh, I forgot to tell you, Bob. I did tell you I was crying behind that door and all that. If I have $110, it only was the ticket, I wouldn't be here today. I won't go back to Greece. Now, later I want to know. And I went back to Greece 30 years later. My son, he come out of that college, and he stay here, and I went to Greece with my wife. 1966, 30 years later.
And up to that time, you weren't too worried about going back to Greece?
No,
right?
because the first thing I never have nobody to take my place in here. And no, I never have no desire, but that particular time, and I have good, my place is going to be in good hands. He stay here, and I went back to Greece.
Did you get to take any vacations during those first 30 years you were in the United States?
What are you talking about? What's vacations? I don't know what kind of vacations it is.
Was your trip to Greece the first time you
The
had
first time I ever
any
cried.
vacation or time off?
Yes. Oh, a couple of times later on, I get little reckless. I close in around Christmas, 2-3 days, and we used to go to New York.
Have you done much traveling around the United States?
The late years, yes. I went to Puerto Rico, I went Florida a couple of times, and that's it.
Have you seen much of the United States, like going out west or Chicago or
No,
California or
no.
anything like that?
I went with that tour of that boat 3 times.
A couple of cruises on
Cruises, three times. I had
on the
wonderful time.
Caribbean Sea.
I had a wonderful time all those times.
I think I'm getting to the end of the line as far as questions, but you became a director, I believe, of Farmers Trust Company some years ago. Is that correct?
Yes, I did, and things. In fact, they come over and they asked me to be a board director, and I said to myself, I'm not going to help them people. I don't have enough education to help them. And I remember that Doc Hirschberg, he come out and he says, I'm new there too, and I have a wonderful time. I can learn a lot of things. And Charlie, I want you. And then
So he convinced you that you should accept the opportunity to become a director.
And well, Dr. Hirschberg was the first one, and second it was my son. He said, Charlie, Papu, he says, you're going to be the honor to be in places like that. And I enjoyed that very, very, very much, and I think all those people, it was a wonderful, wonderful experience for me.
Some of these Greek people in Carlisle, whose names you mentioned, Mrs. Trenoris, she operated a Palace confectionery store on West High Street, I believe. Is that right?
Yes.
How did she become related to the Geekus family? Do you know?
Yes. That Geekus family, he married one of those daughters.
And
Yeah.
George Geekus, the United States congressman from Harrisburg,
That's his cousin.
is a cousin of the Geekus who married one of her daughters.
Yes. And he's dead now. His wife is still in Harrisburg, and he have one daughter. And that Bishop Tranoris, he have 2 daughters. One, she never been married. She's still living. And she's living with her sister now. Both in Harrisburg. Nice family.
You mentioned Harry Vivakis. What business was he in? Do you remember?
Restaurant and bar on Hanover Street. He was a very nice man.
Wasn't there a Vivakis that had a candy store at one time?
I think she was his brother, Bob.
I
I never
see.
met. I never been too much out those years, Bob. I mean, I always closed in on Texas lunch.
You mentioned the Alexis family.
Yeah, it was good people there. They have the family restaurant and bar, and you have two brothers, Pete and George, and Mrs. Alexis. Of course, she lived long, long years, and you have daughter.
2 daughters, Christina and Alice.
Alice, I know. Christina, I don't know. I lost somehow. Alice, I know her very well.
And you mentioned Archie Terrace as being a good man, a good friend of yours.
Very, very good man.
His daughter then married Pete Sears.
Pete
is that
Sears,
correct?
yes. In fact, I was the baptized Pete and a married Pete. And I have choice to baptize his son, but I give it to my granddaughter.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very nice. Well, I mentioned those names because people seeing this film may be familiar with some of those families, and I know you know them very well. One thing we didn't talk about, Charlie, is your association with the Holy Trinity Greek Orthodox Cathedral. When did you become active in the Greek Orthodox Church?
I never was to the church all those years because working every Sunday, 24 hours a day, all that. In 1951, I decided to close the Sunnyside restaurant on Sundays. And, well, I put the sign on this week, next week, so date, the Sunnyside is going to be closed on Sundays. I hear so many complaints, crying, what do you want to eat Sunday? I want to do this. I take the sign down. I was working and working and working. And then I used to come in on Monday. I used to be touchy, you know what I mean? And I said, I should be closed yesterday. And I see that it work on your nerve. And then I says, it's not going to be good for business. I says, I'm going to put that sign on, this time is going to stay. And I close up on 1951. And the first Sunday I close up, I baptized my daughter Vicky. Now, from then on, I don't think I miss any Sunday at the church. And I think I was I get in on the board, 1951 or 1952. And I'm still on, Bob.
Where was the Greek Orthodox Church located at that time?
On Walnut Street, and right across from the Capitol.
Right across from the Forum in Harrisburg?
Yes. Yeah.
How long was the church there at that time, do you know?
He built that's during the war, Bob, 1942 or 43.
And before that, where did the Greek people from Carlisle have to go if they wanted to go to a Greek Orthodox church?
It was one church on a State Street. It was a Russian Orthodox church. And we used to wait. They're going to have their liturgy, and as soon as they get out, we get in.
Was there a Greek Orthodox church in York?
No.
No?
No. Greek Orthodox Church, he built that after we built our church.
And how long did you have the Greek Orthodox Church in Harrisburg?
We built that in 1942, 42 or 43, one of those 2 years. And we built that on Camp Hill, 1970 or 70.
And the one in Camp Hill is on Verdon Drive, is that right?
Yes.
And that's now known as Holy Trinity
Trinity
Greek Orthodox Cathedral, is that correct?
Yes.
Where did the land come from on which your Greek Orthodox Cathedral is constructed?
Bill called us those years. He have option to buy those lots, and he buy those lots, and he give us the first option to buy those lots for the Greek Orthodox Church, and that's what we did.
So the church bought what it needed, and the rest of the land that Bill Colas had under contract, then he developed for other purposes.
Before that, we was ready to build some lots on a 3rd Street. On a 3rd Street.
In Harrisburg.
In Harrisburg. And Father Yanaris, he was those years, and he finds some lots next to Jewish community. And it was only...
Is that on Front Street?
On the Front Street. And those lots, it was one lot on the Front Street, and then Lulu Alley, and it was another small lot there somewhere, almost right across from Polyclinic Hospital.
I see.
Close to there. And then we have to have general meeting to buy those lots. But those lots you have to be sold quick. And the Father Yanaris come in, Charlie says, well, don't you go buy those lots, and then the church going to buy those lots from you. I say, okay. I don't know what I paid that time, Bob. 9,000, 4,500 or 9,000 for each one, or 4,500 for each of those lots. I don't remember that. 9, no, I think I paid 9 and 9. And I buy those lots. And then 2, 3, 4 months later, we have general meeting, and he says, those lots are going to go to the church. And I was willing to sell those lots to the church. And everybody was against. Those lots no good, those lots too small, this and that. And somebody tell me, says, well, Charlie says, you're stuck with them now. I says, I can't help it, that's it, so what? I'm not going to go suicide because of that. And one old man, Mr. Belachas, he come out and he says, Charlie, if you don't want those lots, I take it out of your hands right now, but keep it. A few years later, I sold those lots for 49,000.
And Mr. Belahas was a grand old gentleman.
No, his brother was there.
Oh, was it the brother that owned the
Hill Cafe.
Hill Cafe in
Yeah.
Harrisburg?
Yeah, his brother, very nice man.
But
Jim
Hill-
Belachas.
Hill Cafe,
Yeah.
and Mr. Bellahouse, who operated it, would
Yeah.
be well known to many people here in
Very nice.
Carlisle.
Very nice, man, yeah.
That was a good restaurant in
Oh,
those years.
those years. In fact, the chef from there, you remember that?
I remember it very well.
You remember very well. The chef from that, from the Hill Cafe, very friend of mine, very good friend of mine. And he showed me a lot of that, how to make the crab cakes, how to make that soups and all that. And it's very, very nice. And the one particular time, you tell that story.
Well, it's a good story because it makes me look good. I was here at Sunnyside Restaurant one evening, and this man came in who I didn't know, but he was obviously a friend of Charlie's. And
You better
they
make
talked a
cheesecake.
little bit, and he had brought him a cheesecake. And a minute or two later, Charlie came over to me and said, "Bobby, would you like to have a cheesecake?" I said, "Sure, that's fine." He said, "What do you like? What do you think of that?" And it happened that I had been down to the Builders Show the night before, and my wife and I had gone to the Hill Cafe for dinner, and by happenstance, we had had cheesecake for dessert. So when Charlie offered me this cheesecake, he said, "What do you think of it?" I said, "Well, it's very good." But I said, "To tell you the truth, Charlie, it isn't any better than the cheesecake I had last night." And Charlie laughed. He said, "Here's the man who made it, George
Stamos.
Stamos, and
He's
his
still
son,
living.
is he?
He's still
His
living.
son is Nick Stamos, who is now affiliated with Dickinson College in
Yes.
an executive position, and a
Yeah.
real nice man.
Very nice man, Nikos.
Well, I thank you for letting me look good on that description of the cheesecake.
Oh, yeah, you hit the nail right on the head, you know what I mean? It can't be any better time or the way it's happened. And he was sitting right there, he says, he says, "That's the same, it isn't any better than when I have a Hill Cafe." And that Georgie jump up and he says, "Same one."
That's exactly right. Well, it was good, no doubt about
yeah,
that.
yeah, he was a good man, very good man. Well,
Is there anything you'd like to add, Charlie, that I
I
didn't
don't know,
to
Bob. I
ask
don't
you
know.
about?
I have wonderful life. Well, I lost my wife a few months ago,
She
and
passed away in
on
October of
15,
1995.
17,
October
95.
17th.
Yes, I have wonderful marriage for 55 years. I have a wonderful family. In fact, my grandchildren right now and my daughters, they never let me alone 1 minute.
That's wonderful.
I'm very, very, and in fact, a few years ago, early 80s, or 78 or 79 or 80s, I take my two granddaughters to Greece. Now I'm going to take the other two granddaughters to Greece, 11th next month, and my grandson. And of course, my daughter going to go with her husband.
11th of August, 1996, you're
Right.
taking two granddaughters,
Alex and Duffy.
Alex and Duffy Baker.
Yes.
And who else are going with
Michael.
you? Michael Ward,
And
who is the
and my
son
daughter-
of Ed and Thana Ward.
and my Thana and Nick is supposed to give us the money.
Well, Nick will just have to do without a little something somewhere so he can scrape together
Well, he says,
passage.
he says, go daddy, go daddy. I says, if you give me money, he says, anything you want, and I take the money.
Put it on a charge card. Go now, pay later.
Yeah.
Very fine.
No, it was very nice. Thank you, Bob.
And how long are you going to be in there?
It's going to be 2.5 weeks, I think. But we're going to have a nice time. We're going to visit a lot of places for my granddaughters. We're going to visit one very historic monastery. Borsos, you call that. That's the place I've been, I don't know how many generations back. My daughter, she knows the history more than I do. You see that Virgin Mary there, and he built
Well, they had a vision of the Virgin Mary at this monastery.
that
Or,
monastery, and he built a little monastery
I
there.
guess the vision occurred at that site, and after the vision, they constructed the monastery.
Yeah,
Is that right?
yeah, yeah.
Is that anywhere near your village?
But almost less than a day walking. But now it's a lot of transportation, you know, automobiles now, but before it was, you go through the creeks, through the rivers, through the mountains to go there.
Is that anniversary of that vision the occasion for the big celebration
On
that your
15th.
village has every year?
Every year on 23rd of August.
23rd of August.
Yes.
And what's the date or the event that is just a few days before that that has to do with the Virgin Mary?
15th and that's Ikimisis Theotoko, that, I don't know, the death of
Is that the assumption of when Virgin Mary went to heaven?
15th and August.
15th of August is,
Yeah, and the village celebrate on 23rd because that's the time is the Virgin Mary so place.
well, you'll have a wonderful trip there.
Thank you, Bob.
Now, you mentioned the name of your village is
Neohorion,
Neohorion,
Nafpaktias.
and the people who are descendants from residents of that village now have a picnic area that used to be known as Elliker Woods on, or just off of Route 30 near York. Is that
York,
right?
yes.
Between Abbottstown and York.
Abbottstown and York, yeah, and Route 30.
And how often do you have Greek celebrations there?
We have two real good ones. One, the first one that we have a picnic there, just from the village only.
No
The
guess, if you're not a descendant, you're not supposed to be there,
no,
is that
yes,
right?
no, yes, just from the village only. And we go there, the roast lambs, this, that, we have wonderful time. And then another one, 23rd of August, you invite everybody, 600 people. We roast around 35, 38, 40 lambs, one time on the spin. Big time.
And how long does that celebration in that picnic grove last? When does it begin?
Begin around after the church.
So around noontime or shortly
Yeah.
after noon?
Yeah, and stay all night long with the lights on. Yeah, wonderful time.
Do they have any entertainment there?
Oh,
Any music or dancing?
music from New York.
Will you bring in a,
Yeah, Greek music. And people dancing, have good time, have very good time.
will you bring in that Greek music from New York? Is that fairly expensive to employ
Very
that?
expensive, but this, very expensive, that, to go to weddings, those, actually cost $2,000-3,000.
Is that where they play most of the time, for weddings or
For
other
weddings and things like that, yeah.
special events of that
Special
sort?
events, yeah.
You're going to miss that event in this country this year, but you'll have the original one
I'm gonna have much better there, I
on
hope.
August
Yeah.
23rd.
You know, that little village right now, it's very few people living in. But very, well, maybe around 20-25 families.
How do they make a living there?
Money from outside.
There's no
No.
industry
No.
or employment within the
No.
village?
The most money coming in from United States and people working, and then a lot of those people move away from that village. It's in big jobs in Athens and Patras and different places. And they use it for summer.
For a seasonal or vacation home?
Yeah, for season. Yeah. But our village right now is going to come very famous because we have a river. And Athens thirsty real bad for water. And engineering companies from Germany is going to make a little lake there. You know what I mean?
They're going to put in a dam and create a lake or a reservoir?
You already did. I don't know how many millions and million gallons of water it's going to hold that, and it's going to top it, and go through the mountains, and they're going to go to Athens.
Did they have to flood a good-sized area to
Yes.
create that lake?
And you know, Bob, that's the big thing, I mean, out of that. It's very unusual. You know, out of that river, a lot of towns and a lot of villages, they want the water real bad. And you can't afford to take the water away from them. Now that company, he says, a lot of water underneath this river. And it's going to top from that, you're going to dig in below the river. And you find a lot of water behind that, below that.
Well, are they going to use some of that water for these other villages that
Yes.
are between the reservoir and Athens?
Yes.
So it'll be a bonanza, as it were, for those little villages as well as for
Only thing
Athens is a major source of supply.
The good for that village is gonna keep that roads nice, blocked up.
Do they have a pretty good road to your village now?
Now, yes, very nice roads. Yeah.
You get there with an automobile without?
Oh yeah, very nice now.
What was it like when you were a
Don't-
boy back in the 1920s?
Don't talk about it, with the mules,
Mules.
with the mules.
How wide was the road?
It's big enough for the mule to go through.
Just for one or two mules to pass, and that was
Yeah,
it?
another one. And many times you have to stop to pull it through. Oh, it was life. I mean, Bob, I mean, that's awful. It's awful that. Those years it was no talk about. I don't know, I have to tell you that story. If you good man and you die, you know you're gonna go to heaven. If you bad man, you die, you know where you're gonna go. Those years, you don't have to die. There, he was.
You're already there if you're a bad man, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah, yeah. And in here it was the heaven. And there it was awful life there, Bob. Awful life. And especially those years I grew up.
There are some other people by the name of Mallios in the general Harrisburg mechanic
Oh
area.
yeah, it's quite.
Are they close relatives of
No,
yours?
no. It was in my village. It was a lot of brothers with name Mallios. The old ones, and that's what you got. That no, well, always it's relations years back. You know what I mean, but no much.
Today they'd be distant
Distant,
cousins.
very
is that it?
very distant. But the only thing you keep me proud, everyone with good business and good citizens. No, not the other way. Everyone. It's in Mechanicsburg that Mallios, this is in Manhala that I left my nephews in their lodge, and Harrisburg 2-3 families, it's that, and I'm real proud and all of them. I'm real proud, yes.
I think we're done.
We're done. We thank you.